Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Young and Restless preview. Are Adam and Chelsea on the verge of cracking? Plus, Victor's plans may have hit a snag. In a Young and Restless preview for the week of July 29, August 2, things have never been more tense between Jack and Kyle. Read on for the details and watch the video below. After putting Adam back in charge of Newman Media, he promised Nikki he was on the verge of acquiring a company almost as big as Newman for her to run. That company? Chancellor. Yes, Victor's taking advantage of Chancellor and Winter's split to acquire his old friend Catherine's company. However, he may have one problem. Coming up, Victor says there's one wild card to consider in all of this. Nick asks, and that is? Victor says, Lily Winters. I wonder where her loyalties lie. Adam and Chelsea have been a lot on edge since returning from their trip to visit Connor, during which they ended up making love. Chelsea has already come close to confessing to Sally, who could see something was bothering her friend. Next week, as Billy, Chelsea, Adam, and Sally are all out together, the pressure of the secret builds and suspicions rise. Billy says, something happened, something you're not telling us. Sally, sitting with Adam across the table, nods, yes. Chelsea flips. What do you want us to admit? What is it you want us to confess? Finally, between Jack, Diane, and Kyle clashing over his jumping ship to Glissade and Kyle and Summer clashing over Harrison, the Abbott clan has never been more fractured. Jack fumes at Kyle. I clearly overestimated the amount of respect I thought I had instilled in you as an Abbott. I raised you better than this. As the sun set over the sprawling skyline of Genoa City, the restless energy that seemed to hover over Newman Enterprises and the Chancellor estate hinted at impending turmoil. The lives of the city's most influential residents were about to take a dramatic turn, with Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson at the center of the storm. Adam Newman paced back and forth in his penthouse, the weight of his recent decisions pressing down on him. His relationship with Chelsea had always been a roller coaster, filled with passionate highs and devastating lows. But lately the cracks in their foundation were becoming more evident, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of breaking. Adam, please stop pacing. You're making me dizzy, Chelsea said, her voice tinged with exasperation as she sat on the edge of their leather sofa, her eyes following his every move. He paused and looked at her, the worry etched into his features making him look older than his years. I can't help it, Chelsea. Things are spiraling out of control, and I don't know how to fix it. Chelsea sighed, running a hand through her hair. We've been through worse, Adam. We can get through this too. Adam's eyes darkened with a mix of frustration and guilt. Can we, after everything that's happened, after everything I've done? Chelsea stood up, crossing the room to stand in front of him. Adam, you've made mistakes, but so have I. We've both done things we regret. But we've always managed to find our way back to each other. This time won't be any different. Adam shook his head, turning away from her. I don't know if I believe that anymore. It feels like everything is slipping away. Chelsea reached out, grabbing his arm and forcing him to face her. Then we fight for it, Adam. We fight for us. Meanwhile, across town at Newman Enterprises, Victor Newman sat behind his massive desk, his eyes fixed on the cityscape outside his office window. He had spent a lifetime building his empire, and he wasn't about to let anyone or anything threaten it. But recent developments had thrown a wrench into his meticulously laid plans, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of uncertainty. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of his office door opening. Nikki Newman walked in, her expression a mix of concern and determination. Victor, we need to talk, she said, closing the door behind her. Victor turned to face her, raising an eyebrow. What is it, Nikki? She crossed the room and sat down across from him, her gaze unwavering. It's about Adam. I'm worried about him. Victor sighed, leaning back in his chair. Adam has always been a problem, Nikki, but he's still my son, and I'll do whatever it takes to help him. Nikki shook her head. It's more than that, Victor. He's spiraling, and I don't think he can pull himself out of it this time. Victor's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting? I think you need to step in before it's too late. Adam needs to know that he's not alone, that he has a family who cares about him, Nikki said, her voice softening. Victor was silent for a moment, contemplating her words. You're right, Nikki. I've been so focused on the business that I've neglected my family. I'll talk to Adam. As Nikki nodded in agreement, Victor's phone buzzed on the desk. He glanced at the screen and his expression hardened. Excuse me, I need to take this. Nikki stood up, giving him a concerned look before leaving the office. Victor answered the call, his voice cold and authoritative. This better be important. The voice on the other end was shaky, filled with urgency. Mr. Newman, there's been a development. The deal we were working on has hit a snag. Our partners are getting cold feet. Victor's grip tightened on the phone. What kind of snag? They're having second thoughts about the terms. They're demanding a renegotiation, the voice explained. Victor's eyes flashed with anger. That's unacceptable. We had a deal. I understand, sir, but they're threatening to back out entirely if we don't comply, the voice said. Victor took a deep breath, trying to rein in his temper. Set up a meeting. I'll handle this personally. As he hung up the phone, Victor's mind raced. He couldn't afford to let this deal fall apart. It was too important to the future of Newman Enterprises. As he prepared to tackle this new challenge, he couldn't shake the nagging feeling that his problems were only just beginning. Back at the penthouse, Adam and Chelsea sat in tense silence, the weight of their unresolved issues hanging heavily in the air. Chelsea finally broke the silence, her voice barely above a whisper. Adam, what are we going to do? Adam looked at her, his expression one of helplessness. I don't know, Chelsea, but whatever it is, we need to do it together. Chelsea nodded, reaching out to take his hand. We'll figure it out. We always do. As they sat there, holding onto each other, both of them knew that the road ahead would be anything but easy. For the first time in a long while, they felt a glimmer of hope. And in Genoa City, sometimes hope was all you needed to survive. Meanwhile, at the Newman Ranch, Nikki found herself staring out at the horizon, her thoughts consumed by the events of the day. She knew that Victor would do everything in his power to protect their family and their legacy, but she also knew that sometimes even the strongest of men needed help. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Nikki made a silent vow. She would stand by Victor's side, no matter what challenges they faced. Together they would weather the storm and come out stronger on the other side. Because in the world of the young and restless, the only constant was change, and the only way to survive was to adapt. And so, as the night settled over Genoa City, the stage was set for a new chapter in the lives of its most powerful residents. A chapter filled with drama, intrigue, and the unbreakable bonds of family and love.